How do you build a business that's wildly profitable without it turning into a prison that actually traps you? Because I sure as hell have done that myself. And I know heaps of other really successful coaches and experts that have done exactly that as well. I've sold a multi-7-figure coaching company and I've made a ton of mistakes. And I know that I have lost millions because of those mistakes. And I want you to avoid those, especially after consulting 6, 7, and 8-figure CEOs, and now me being the founder of Rainmakers. We get to see behind the scenes of some of the most successful coaching businesses because we are the ones running their ads, writing the copies, building their funnels, doing their acquisition, holding their sales calls, closing their deals. And what I want to show you inside of this clip with me being interviewed on a podcast is I want you to see what is really working today. Because in today's episode, is a real breakdown of how you can actually master the business pulse so that you can create a business that fuels your lifestyle, not drains it. I want you to actually think about, dare I even say, you build a business that you love waking up to each and every day, a business that is actually going to give you the life that you want. Because unfortunately, with us wanting to create so much success, we unfortunately build a business that is essentially a prison and doesn't give us what we ultimately wanted at the start of the day.
The technological shift that we're going through is going to change the dynamics of this, but I can see very clearly, and I've seen literally hundreds of other coaching businesses go through this, they will plateau at about 100K a month. And what happens is there's certain things that you need to do to be able to grow to the next level. So there's certain team members that you will need. There are certain constraints that your business will have. There are certain growth pains that you will need to go through to get to about 250, 300 a month. And then again, so quite often this is a conversation I've had many times with other founders, and they'll come on board. Let's say they're at about 100,000 a month, maybe just under 100,000 a month. And then the conversation will be is like, okay, well, where do you want to take your business? Like, what's the end goal? Where do you want to get to? And I want to get some sort of a vibe of what they're wanting to do and the direction they're wanting to head to. And many cases, I'll have a discussion and go, okay, there is a big difference between a business that's doing, let's say, 250 a month to $1 million a month. In the case of, it becomes a little bit more corporate, it comes a little bit more structured. And so many cases with what a person wants is if somebody wants to profit, let's say $100,000 a month, they want to take home in their back pocket 100K a month, maybe their business, it doesn't need to be, but let's say, in a worst case scenario, revenue wise, it's 250 a month. Okay. Now, if you want to grow beyond that point, you have to make such structural changes in the actual business and managerial changes inside of that business for it to be able to then go to the next kind of capacity, which is about that $1 million a month, which then it needs to grow again. So for me, it's a case of what do you actually want? What do you want your life to look like? Where are your skills and your traits and your characteristics going to show up for where it is that you want to actually be able to be? Then it's the chessboard. So the chessboard analogy for me, when you say that, I think of somebody could be a pawn. Now, a pawn on I might get a little bit Buddhist right now with this right now. So there is relative truth and there is ultimate truth. So is the pawn any less valuable than the king on the chessboard? Okay. Relative truth, absolute truth. Now, absolute truth, no. Do you know what I mean? Like, not as less valuable. Relative truth, yes, less valuable. Now, somebody could come in as a pawn and they were born a pawn. That was the role that they're meant to play. And this is where I'll kind of like look at different ways to perceive. And we could be like total free will and a fatalistic point of view of life. So let's say a person is like, I was just born to be a pawn, right? They're just like Allah. It was written by God. And it was like, that's the way it's supposed to be. Or other people will be like, I have full control and agency over myself. I can become whoever I want to be. And I'm a pawn now, but I'm going to become a king. And I'm going to do whatever it takes to be able to evolve myself and to become a king. And it's also understanding of like somebody's growth. So can somebody come on board and they start off, I'm thinking of one specific team member, amazing dude. And he's been able to build himself up and his skill sets and his ability to execute, there's just been astounding this year. It's been so cool to watch. And so for me, it's being able to use the right chess pieces in the right places and to be able to be like, where are you right now? Where on the chessboard do you want to fit? And I'll give actually, so a great example. I went and saw one of my mentors, Sharan, just a few months ago in the US. And I interviewed him for my podcast and we went for a walk before it. It's kind of a theme I do, I guess. I go for a walk before our podcast. So we went for a walk before and he was wanting an update on everything to do with the business and everything like that. And he's like, wow, this is really good. You've grown so fast. This is so amazing. And he said something that threw me when he first said it, which was, you may want to think, Chris, to replace yourself as CEO. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. My ego flared up. I was like, whoa, hang on. Like, I'm the king, right? Like, I'm the CEO. I'm the dude in charge. He's like, no. You could pay someone $250 a year, someone that's like doing really trained up, like MBA, all of that kind of stuff. And they will love that role. They'll love to be able to grow it and they'll be specific at being able to do that role, but you can then go above. And I think that's where you then transcend the chessboard. So what's the, like, you go, oh, the king's the most important part. Well, hang on. What about the player that's sitting behind the chess pieces? Right? So there's levels on levels in the way to think about that and where you want to best play the game in which you're actually doing it as well. So there's kind of like the ways I think about what you've brought up so far for that.
You could skip subscribing now, sure. But imagine 6 months down the line when you randomly stumble back here and realize you've missed out on all of this gold. Now, don't put your future self in that awkward position. Hit subscribe now because your future self will high five your present you.
I love that also additional perspective on it because it's so true, right? There's another level on top of the game in itself.
Yeah. Do you want to be the pawn? Do you want to be the castle? Do you want to be the king? Do you want to be the player? Do you know what I mean? That's actually then moving all of the chess pieces. Do you want to just pick the chessboard up and go, fuck it, I'm walking off. I'm going to play a different game. So there's levels on levels in which this comes upon as well. And that's the thing I think about. And again, I say that, do I want to pick my ball up and be like, I'm done playing it? Like, we're playing games. Do we want to continue to play that game, or am I happy to pick up my ball and go somewhere else and do something different? And for me, it was that time that I spent with Derek that was so like, oh, you can pick your ball up and go play somewhere different and do something different as well. And I think about that for myself is like, I think of like a label, do you mean like on my shirt? And so right now I've got like founder CEO label on there. But really I've been thinking, what if I took that label off and I actually replace it with investor? Is investor the actual next label that I want to play? And it's so fascinating to me when we start to perceive the world differently. It's like I'm changing the lens in which I'm looking through the world at. It then changes the world. And so even just toying with that idea, I'm now taking equity deals inside of businesses that I'm very confident that we're able to grow, and I'm playing a different game now. So I've gone from one game to now playing a different game simply because I've changed labels. I'm identifying myself differently. I'm perceiving the world differently. And so therefore I'm just living life differently.
I love that perspective as well on difference between founder and CEO and labels, as we were briefly discussing that you don't like the labels, right? But then knowing, okay, what's the next level of that also potentially not only will unlock new things for your own life, but create a new position for someone to step in and now run the entire empire, right? How do you create an environment that A players are fighting to be a part of?
You be an A+ player. You have to show up incredibly. And that's why I love the feeling of wanting that I have to show up as my best self and that I'm continually wanting to evolve and better myself. Because if I'm not doing that, I have no right to think why others would want to be able to help serve me and work together on a mission. So it's like parenting, right? You don't expect your child to change or to learn from the things that you say. It happens from what you do. They are simply looking at you and being like, oh, dad's showing up this way, so therefore I learn this way. So you've got to show up and be like that for them to be able to learn. Like, my children don't learn from the things that I say, they learn from the way that I be. And so for me, I think it's the same as team members. I need to show up as my best self. And I say this to my leadership team. I'm like, you have to show up in the way that you expect your team members that are reporting to you for how you want them to show up. And I'll get nitty gritty on this. I'm like, we use Asana as our project management system, right? I'm like, I pulled one team member up in the HODs. I'm like, dude, you're not using Asana properly. I can see overdue tasks here. Number one, we don't tolerate that. And two, don't expect your team members to follow the system properly if you're not following the system properly. So I think it can go from grand perspective down to like the nitty gritty tactical stuff just from the way that we do that. So for me, it's a case of, yeah, I think it's an easy answer. You show up amazingly yourself.
What's now in the way that you conduct yourself and your business, what's your role, or what's the role of a founder and CEO?
Taking care of culture and taking care of cash and ensuring that there is the right soil for the environment for how everyone is actually showing up, and ensuring that there is a vision and a mission that we're all actually on. So for me, it's very much a case of I need to be out of again, there is perspectives on this. And this is the way like my makeup is. And so in a certain aspect, the way that I see myself is I'm very much like an architect operator. So like 80, 90% of the time I should be acting as an architect. And then I need to be also like in the trenches on the ground as an operator to see how everything is. And I need to go through between those two very different sides of it. So for me, I need to be looking grand vision. Where is it that we're going? And also very much as a CEO, it's protecting the company. So what's actually happening right now? What are changes in the marketplace? What's happening with technology? What are all the things that could be threatening this company and its survival and its success? And so for me, I need to think of that grand vision, but I also need to be in the weeds from time to time to ensure that everything is happening the way that it needs to happen. And also so I can have that fingertip touch to know what's going on inside the business, because especially when I consult CEOs, there is a big trend in which a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs right now, we do it because we want freedom, okay? And I think a lot of the time there creates too much freedom or too much space between the founder and what's actually happening inside of the business, and they lose that fingertip touch.
Hey, if you've made it this far, I just want to say thank you. Seriously, the fact that I get to sit here and share what I've learned and hopefully make your life a little bit better, that means the world to me. And this is why I do it, because years ago I was searching for the same answers and now I get to pass it on. So if you haven't hit subscribe yet, well, let's not make this weird. Go ahead and do it, because I'm going to keep showing you more of the insights with a few of the bad jokes, but hopefully something that actually helps you move forward. So I appreciate you being here, and I'll see you in the next episode.